Olá pessoal, bem-vindos à parte 4 de Stanley Parable. Vamos tentar fazer um final que eu ainda não vi, vai. A gente teve The Confusion Ending, a morte, a gente teve... Foi a morte também, né? Só que foi uma morte um pouquinho mais dolorosa, onde o cara ficava falando pra eu apertar botões. Não. Ué. Vamos tentar agora descobrir novos caminhos aqui dentro desse jogo. Igual, por exemplo... Não, eu vim dali. Isso. Porque sempre que a gente tá jogando, eu chego num lugar onde eu tenho duas portas, onde eu posso escolher meu caminho. Então,
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Eu vou continuar tocando as coisas do escritório, isso.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Primeira vez, fui na direita, desci no elevador, Confusion Ending. Segunda vez, fui pela esquerda, segui o negócio, foi... Eu já sei o que a gente vai fazer. Lembra... Não já sei. Eu sei. Da outra vez, lembra que a gente, na parte 3, a gente foi no elevador e falou pra gente não pular, senão a gente ia morrer. Eu vou pular. Eu vou pular, vai ser muito...
The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Olha só.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Vou pular, hein? 1, 2, 3, vai!
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps... But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Bom, foi mais um final, né? Mais um final legal, vai. Mas isso não valeu uma parte do vídeo, não. Vamos tentar de novo.
Just a step through this door, Stanley thought to himself, that's all I need. If I can make it through this door,
eu tava curioso pra fazer isso, porque na parte da parte passada eu passei por esse elevador e eu fiquei tentado pular, mas não pulei. Mas vamos lá. Vamos fazer um final, então, Supremo. Então vamos fazer um final que é aqui pra esquerda. Isso. Aí a gente vai fazer tudo que ele falou, mas quando a gente chegar na sala de controle, a gente vai desligar a máquina.
Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
E se eu caminhar pra baixo?
But Stanley just couldn't do it.
Esse final que eu falei vai ficar pra depois, vai.
Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him
automaticamente quando eu passo por elas?
And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying, and began to gently float above the ground.
Que isso? Eu tô
Then he
voando.
imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid?
Esse é o final
And then perhaps the
LSD.
strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself,
Mentira desse
believing that
lugar.
if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control.
Não,
that this
eu não
was
vou
a
me
dream.
matar mais uma vez pra provar que eu tô com o controle da história.
And he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been.
Não.
My life is normal. I am normal.
Nossa, essa vozinha tá me dando
Everything will be
sono já.
fine.
Assim, tela escura.
I am
I am
okay.
okay. Tô no mesmo lugar.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
E aí?
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her
Olha
place
só
of
uma
work.
coisa.
But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the
Eu morri de
sidewalk.
novo.
And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Esse acho que tá sendo um dos mais diferentes. Primeira vez que realmente apareceu outra pessoa. Um final legal. É um final reflexivo, né? Bom, e com isso, a gente, claro, termina mais uma parte aqui. Nas outras partes, claro, a gente vai tentar os próximos finais.